Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by BKCW. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined daily by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Bobby, of course, looks like you're somewhere special this morning.
Yeah, I'm at Sanford Stadium here in Athens, Georgia this morning. Woke up, drove by, and there's plenty of facilities here and availability for folks to actually walk into the stadium if you want to. Right now, I didn't get all the way down to the hedges, but I got some shots of the stadium and the field this morning. I posted them on TexasFootball.com for those of you guys interested. But good stuff for us here. It's a cool, brisk morning. It's not too cold. It's not like freezing or anything like that. There's almost no wind. It is a pretty time of year here. I would add that. With the fall leaves and all the color changing, etc. Beautiful day here in Athens, Georgia.
It's I've been there at campus before. It's almost unmatched for a stadium and campus together. Just the way that stadium sits. It's right across from the student union across the street. It's a great college town. It really is. It's a really good job because you have so much talent to the west within 75, 80, 90 miles. It's a hell of a recruiting place to recruit football players to. I'll tell you that.
Hey, Jerry, let's talk about recruiting. Let's segue into that because some news broke yesterday for the Longhorns. Texas picking up a tight end out of Portage, Michigan, Charlie Gillette, who was originally committed to Central Florida as a linebacker, as a tight end, then to Minnesota as a linebacker, and now he's committed to Texas after receiving the offer yesterday from the Longhorns. A number of other offers also went out to senior guys after Texas held a recruiting staff meeting. Give folks a little feel for who Charlie Gillette is and what's going on in Texas recruiting.
Well, I think that's the main thing is that they have recruiting meetings weekly, right? But the one yesterday, I think number of offers went out, and so that was maybe the most key recruiting meeting of the season so far. Charlie Gillette here, 6'5", 230, 235 in that range. Had over 100 tackles as a junior. Is recruited as a tight end by Texas, but very physical kid. Got good length, good basketball player. You see he's got some twitch to him, a little bit of twitch to him. He's got good, you can see he can go rebound the basketball. He's got that ability of timing, of leaving his feet, and that verticality ability right there. So really, he's a solid prospect. He's from a school that hasn't produced many big-time football players. Pete Metzelaars, I think, was the biggest name that ever came out of the Central High in Portage, Michigan, which is just south of Kalamazoo. So a kid who has been committed now to 3 different Power 4 schools at 2 different positions. So it speaks to his versatility and kind of how he's kind of grown and risen up the recruiting ranks. Where will he be ranked at the end of the day? We'll see on that. But he's kind of a high 3-star prospect right now for people. But does his senior tape look like that? Everybody can argue that. But he comes from a school that hadn't produced a lot of players, but they have one here. And then Texas put out a number of offers, and they've turned into official visits. I have a story on TexasFootball.com about that, about their 6 official visitors for the Arkansas game now. I think Blake's going to bring up that graphic for us. So Caden Scherer was offered officially yesterday. That was already pretty much going to happen. We'd put out that he was going to officially visit. Then he locked in that official visit date. Texas also offered the running back from Georgetown, Jet Walker. So they offered 2 Georgetown guys yesterday, Caden Scherer, Jet Walker. Josiah Vilmel, who we've been saying was going to visit the 22nd, that's now locked in. Obviously, Charlie Gillette was offered and committed. So those are your 6 official visitors. Your unofficial visitors, Drake Quinn, still expected to visit. Well, he has to follow through on it. Richard Anderson's a possibility. That's the 5-star defensive lineman from Edna Carr, who's as good as theirs in the country. But 6 official visitors. We'd said there was going to be more offers. I don't even think Texas is done offering guys. And I think they're still looking JUCO. There's some really good JUCO players right now in this class. So we'll see if they make an offer there. There could be another linebacker offer potentially out there. We'll see. But that official visit list has grown to 6. Now could be 7, depending on what Richard Anderson does. If he makes it in, I think that would be an official visit. So they're up to 6 right now for that November 22nd weekend. And we are, 3 weeks from signing day, essentially, first Wednesday in December. So things are moving fast. I think from a numbers perspective, What that also told us was some attrition at running back, that second running back potential in the class. But they would take 2 high school offensive linemen if those guys jumped in, and we'll see what happens there. They take obviously take the running back. They take a receiver if a Jalen Lott wanted in. They take a defensive lineman. They take an edge. They take 2 DBs. I mean, that number could creep up to 28 pretty quick.
I want to add this. You mentioned, what does this look like for the roster? It's not about rosters expanding. This is going against the 85. I would add, you talked about running back in particular, Jerry. Not only is Jarrett Gibson transferring, he's already announced that, but Ricky Stewart is no longer with the team as well. So that they've lost at least 2 running backs in this cycle, and both Trey Weiser and Ced Baxter are both NFL eligible. So you'll wait and see what happens there. And then, James Simon and Christian Clark, the only other running backs on campus right now. So I think that they don't want to get caught in a situation like they were just 3 months ago. So that's how it works. The young man from Georgetown, really good player as well. He's committed to Minnesota. The offensive lineman out of Georgetown is committed to Stanford. Vilmeal, who Jerry mentioned, had been committed at one point to Oklahoma State. He's backed off of that. Teray Davis has been committed to UCLA, but I think it's going to be it's going to probably either be Washington or Texas. That's the young defensive back out of Boulder, Colorado. So a lot of news and notes going on in recruiting right now. Texas also still trying to keep a hold of who they got. Our CJ Vogel yesterday was at the Grayson practice in Georgia to see Tyler Atkinson. You can see some of those clips from him on Texas Football as well, on TexasFootball.com as well. But a lot of recruiting news and notes as we sit here less than 3 weeks now, Jerry, from National Signing Day.
Yeah, so I want to talk about – people have asked about Ricky Stewart. That's been something that's been ongoing. We're kind of seeing if he was going to step back into the program, onto the team or not. But that's been something behind the scenes that's been ongoing for a few weeks now, and he is not expected back as of today.
There you go. Jerry, am I okay enough to ask you to please remove your hat? It's bugging me.
No.
The blinking lights are glaring here.
Something I think we should address. Dave, actually, why the mad dash to fill the roster with 3-star players and instead of using those spots for experience in the portal? I would say part of that is we're in a rev share world now. I mean, it's not unlimited money, and so I think Texas is also they're going to have some guys that they believe that they can develop, that can be really good special teams players, be really good role players. Bobby, I mean, you can speak to that as well, but I think things are with the rev share, things are a little different now. It's not unlimited funds. So you have to put these rosters together a little bit different way. You have to be very shrewd in evaluation and to develop those guys because everybody can't be a highly paid player.
That's exactly right, Jerry. I mean, everybody can't be Derek Cooper or Tyler Atkinson or Dia Bell or you name it. That there's got to be levels, and I think that could be some of what's going on. At the same time, I think Texas wants some players that are still going to develop. I mean, Sark and his team are very big proponents of actual development and taking time. I mean, you look at DJ Campbell right now, okay? He started 3 years for Texas, but he is still developing. Yeah. I mean, he's playing his best football ever 3 years into this thing or 4 years into this. So it's not, and we used to use this term, and Jerry, you got it from Will Muschamp and Dwayne, and we got it from Dwayne Aquina as well. It's not add water instant player. These guys' bodies have to fill out. A tight end that's 6'5", 230, like Charlie Jellick, it's going to take him some time to truly fill out. Now, he can contribute early in his career, but it's going to take him some time. I mean, it takes all these guys time to get what Rod calls armor on their bodies. So I don't have any problem with that.
Yeah. I mean, and I think I think another thing to consider here is, I mean, look, USC has the number 1 ranked class right now. They have 13 3-stars in that class. I mean, I think everybody look, you have to build really good classes, but these classes aren't just filled with 5- and 4-star players. I mean, that's the reality. All these people, Alabama has 23 commits, 9 of them are 3-star players. Georgia has 8 3-star players. So I think if you go down the path of, everybody's a 5 or 4-star, that's just not accurate. It's just Georgia had the number 1 class in 2024. 10 of the 30 were 3-star players. So I think if everybody's thinking, all they do is sign 5- and 4-star guys, that's not really the case. You're going to have, if you're going to have big numbers in classes, you're going to have some 3-star kids in those classes, guys that you can develop as well. It can't, if your class numbers, Ohio State's got 25 commitments right now. 8 of those guys are 3-stars. So somebody I think's in the chat said, well, Ohio State's only signing 5 and 4 stars. A third of their class is 3-stars. I just don't. That's not what I'm seeing anywhere. And that's not what I've seen over time. You're still going to have those guys you have to develop. And you're going to have those guys in the rev share model now too. And yes, people are going to go beyond the rev share. We're not saying that's not going to happen. I think Texas will go beyond the rev share. But there's still developmental piece to this. And these guys they all think the same on this. I mean, there's these top classes going to have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 3-star prospects if you sign 28, 29, 30.
We need to play some Agilix highlights, and y'all decide whether or not he's good enough, because I certainly think he is, regardless of recruiting ranking. And I'll be dead honest, that having been a guy that's over the top of rankings before, if you have a personnel staff, a deep personnel staff like Texas has right now, they spend a lot more time on players than the recruiting industry does from a evaluation standpoint. Whether it's 24/7 on 3 or whoever, they get, maybe 5 minutes time watching a player. These personnel evaluation staffs are not just spending 5 minutes watching it. All right, I need to say thank you before we get to our first guest. BKCW is our sponsor every Friday for Coffee and Football. Did your business have a frustrating insurance or employee benefits renewal? Most likely you didn't hear from your agent all year, and then right before it was time to renew, your agent delivered the bad news of a rate increase. When this happens, the agent is providing no value, and you're stuck in what we call the insurance trap. BKCW takes you out of the insurance trap by providing you with actual risk management consulting, not just price quoting. Operating out of its headquarters in Austin and owned by a UT grad, BKCW uses a 5-step process to identify your business's weak spots, design a plan, and execute it while monitoring your situation throughout the year so that you can lower your insurance costs while managing your company's risk. BKCW has already helped some of the most well-known construction companies, restaurant groups, breweries, and nonprofits in Central Texas escape the insurance trap. It all starts with a free risk assessment. Go to bkcw.com or send an email to info@bkcw.com to get started with a free risk assessment or claims audit and escape the insurance trap. Thank you to BKCW for their sponsorship of On Texas Football.
Well, we're going to have
and for, and for helping Jerry purchase that red hat.
Yeah.
We're going to have Coach Brian Irwin joining us here in a moment. Looks like he's trying to get connected now. But while we wait on him, we got a super chat from Arthur Mills. He says, welcome to the A, Bobby. See all good people this afternoon. Hook 'em.
Yeah, I can't wait to go. I'm actually in Athens right now. If you're just joining us, this is the Sanford Stadium, Dooley Field at Sanford Stadium. In the background, I'll be in Atlanta this afternoon. We're having a happy hour. That's where we'll be doing the Friday afternoon show, Jerry, at Botica, Botica, in Buckhead. Please come on out. Love to have you guys out there. Marcus Myers will be out there with us as well. Should be a fun time.
Then we have another super chat this morning from David. Thank you, David. He said, I'm glad Sark now has AJ in the booth and can compare notes with and for an attack. I think that's why Sark and play calling was a discussion. Hook 'em.
Yeah. So look, I don't, this doesn't guarantee 3 wins in a row in the season, but I do think this has been very impactful. And I say that because look, AJ Milway is part of the game scripts on a weekly basis. He's probably got the closest thing to understanding Sark's brain from a play calling standpoint. He does, as anybody on the staff. He's the guy, right? There's a reason Sark brought him in in the role he did. They'd been together on the staff at Alabama in the role that Sark was in and the role that A.J. Milwee was in. So they share a lot of commonality, and A.J. Milwee has a real understanding of Sark and is part of those eyes in the sky. I think are very, very important. And I understand why they did that last year with Quinn, because I think they thought that would help Quinn more to have those conversations with A.J. Milwee from the sideline. I'm not sure it's a coincidence that A.J. Milwee moving to the box. You've seen Texas play some of their best offense the last couple of games. And that doesn't mean you're going to go get 500 yards on Georgia. I'm not saying that, or you're going to win 3 games in a row and go 10-2 to end the season. But I do think that it's an impactful move that's not going to be talked about enough.
All right. Well, it looks like he's ready, so I'm going to bring him in. Brian, how are we doing this morning?
Good. How you doing, Blake? How you doing, Bobby? Jerry?
What's up? What's up?
Brian, Brian, don't you wish you were here, baby?
Man.
Is that beautiful or what?
That looks beautiful. I hope it looks beautiful about 9:30 tomorrow night.
You and about, I don't know, 500,000 other Longhorn fans. Hey, Brian, we've talked a little bit about it all week and what Texas needs to do to beat Georgia potentially. You have any thoughts specifically on that?
Yeah, we've talked at length and ad nauseum about we've got to be able to run the football effectively. Not that we're going to gash them or anything, but we've got to effectively run the football, and we've got to stop the run. We've got to try to make them play a little bit left-handed. Don't let them create a whole lot of confidence in the run game. So I think the line of scrimmage, both sides, and running the football for us and slowing the run down against them is huge. We talked with lunch with the coach. I'm a big believer in we've got to create some doubt in their minds early in the game and throughout the first half. We've got to make them go in at halftime, and no matter what everybody's saying to themselves and to the team and what the coaches are saying, their internal mind and their internal conscience is going, man, these guys are good. These guys are disciplined. These guys tackle. These guys might beat us. We've got to create some doubt. And the only way we can do that is to play really, really well in the first half, get it to the fourth quarter, and try to win in the fourth quarter.
Hey, Coach, we've talked all week. This is the first time we've been on the shows together. So I wanted to ask you this. I thought watching last year against Georgia, watching Georgia, they threw it 60% of the time and ran it 40. That was not really how Kirby's DNA has been at Georgia. And they've totally flipped that thing back this year to 59 run, 41 pass. What have you seen, that over the years watching Kirby? I know you like kind of the way Kirby messages to his team, but what have you kind of liked about what they do? And what do you see the difference last year versus this year?
Yeah, I just seen going back to his roots and being true to what he would like to do. Them doing that last year might have had something to do with their offensive line, their tight ends, their backs. I don't think he's changed really what he wants to do. He's doing what he wants to do. He's just better suited this year to do that with the offensive line, tight end, stable of backs. He's got a really mobile quarterback in Gunnar Stockton. Incredible leader, incredible athlete, guy that's willing to get dirty. And, he's got his type of team again this year.
Hey, Brian, you mentioned put some doubt in their minds, right? How do you do that? I mean, is that is that tweaks to a scheme? Is that beating them in some one-on-one matchups that they have to account for? As a coach, how do you actually do that?
You do it through tremendous execution, tremendous discipline, and not committing silly pre-snap penalties. And you do it in a way which the opponent is always where they're supposed to be, and they're making tackles. They're sure tacklers. I kind of equate it in my mindset to early in my career, played against Salina, G.A. Moore. I was a young guy, 26, 27 years old, going against G.A. Moore and the Salina Bobcats. And when you played those guys, they were just great tacklers. They were always where they needed to be. They were disciplined. They didn't create silly penalties pre-snap. It was just, it created an emotional avalanche. And I was actually fortunate enough to beat GA first time I played and coached against him. And then we played them subsequent years after that. And there's many other programs that I could relate this to, but it creates an emotional avalanche for and against your opponent when you can be disciplined, you can execute, you're not creating mistakes and penalties, and your opponent's going, man, this outfit is well coached. Man, this outfit is talented. They're disciplined. They execute. They're tough, and they're not going away. And therefore, you just have a little bit of self doubt. Hey, can I get this done? We've got to make them go in at the half and just have a little bit of wonder, a little bit of doubt in their mind. They can rah it up all they want to, but when they're sitting by themselves at their locker for those 28 minutes, we've got to create some doubt in each one of those guys' heads. And the only way to do that is to play solid the first half. We've got to do that in the first half, get it to the fourth quarter, and try to go win this thing in the fourth quarter the way Kirby and Georgia like to go win their games. We got to out tough a tough program.
Yeah, obviously somebody asked this yesterday, so I'm going to ask you because you definitely have a way with your teams. Somebody asked about a pregame speech, and look, I know there's motivation stuff, right? But my response was, the internal doesn't need a pregame speech for this one. I mean, you can look back on the Florida game and say, oh, what did I learn from that, and how do I need to be different? And say, I'm going to play against a better team in an even more hostile environment because it's night. Kind of talk about that from the mindset these kids need to have, because I don't think this is necessary. There will be a pregame speech, but I don't think this is. If you need a pregame speech to get your team ready for this one, you may have some team issues.
Exactly. My motto and belief and philosophy on pregame speeches, I think they're overrated. I think you coach hard during the week. You coach discipline during the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. My big belief on the final message to the team, the pregame speech, the rah, just fire and brimstone speech I always did the night before the game. I felt like emotionally you had to be ready to play 24 hours ahead of the game. That was my belief system. There was no rah stuff going on in the locker room 3 minutes before we took the field. We were singing Lean On Me. We turned the lights out and we had our arms around each other and we're playing Bill Withers' Lean On Me. That was our, but the rah stuff, when I'm going to tell them half truths, when I'm going to get them fired up, when I'm going to be yelling at them, I might be lying to them a little bit, whatever it is, to get them ready to go. When my blood's boiling and the emotions are high, was always 24 hours ahead of the game. It was always the night before the game at our final team meeting. The night before the game is when I wanted them optimally, emotionally ready to play. And then I'd follow that up with, I loved what I heard last week. I believe it was last week from Signetti at Indiana. And one of the reporters asked him, I know you're very concerned about Penn State. And I know there's been a lot of concern about this game and being concerned about them and the ability maybe to win this game. And he's like, you know what? And this is right before kickoff. He said, the time to be concerned is past. It's over. It's time to go attack, compete, and be a disciplined football team and go execute. I love that. That's my belief. You can be concerned, you can be anxious, you can be worried, you can have some doubt in the days leading up to the game as you prepare. But when you're 24 hours out from that game or you're 5 minutes out from that game, there's no concern. It's the concern's done, the anxiety's done. Go compete, go attack, and go execute.
Brian, we got to ask you to close this out here before the
Hey,
game
Bobby,
tomorrow.
I got it. I'm breaking up, Bobby.
Before we let you go, you got to give us your score prediction for this one here in Athens.
Well, I'm gonna plagiarize here a little bit. I saw a wise man earlier in the week. One of his one of his stories that he wrote on Texas, and he predicted like 24-23. And so I'm gonna plagiarize. I'm gonna stick to that script. I think that's a solid guess, and I'll go 24-23 along with Bobby.
All right, Brian, Coach, thank you so much, man. We'll talk to you again next Monday morning on Lunch with the Coach, man.
Good deal. Thank you, guys. Hook 'em.
All right, hook 'em. Hook 'em. Take care. Always love having Brian on, man. Always love it. We got Brooks Austin, the film guy, coming up next. Before we go to him, though, on this special edition live from Athens, Georgia, I want to tell folks about one of our sponsors. That is Tecovas. Anywhere worth going is worth going in good boots. Born in Texas in 2015, Tecovas are handcrafted with every stitch on point. Tecovas boots are made for a good time and a long time. I love the fact that they already are broken in for comfort right out of the box. Tecovas makes it easy for anyone to find their favorite boot with all kinds of sizes and styles. Tecovas are simply the best boot around. I really like that they can either be daily boots or you can feel dressed up with them. I'm going to be wearing mine today at Botica, a little happy hour action there in Atlanta. Right now, get 10% off at tecovas.com/Texas football when you sign up for emails and texts. That's 10% off at tecovas.com/Texas football with Tecovas Best in the West guarantee. You also get free returns and exchanges for 30 days. Tecovas.com/Texas football. See site for details. Tecovas, point your toes west. I also want to tell you guys about an Austin institution that I've been going to since my days in college. That is Kirby Lane All Day Cafe. It's been an Austin institution since 1980. I was not in college in 1980, but close. With the local vibe and late night pancakes you know and love. Now dinner is where they're raising the bar. Bold chef-driven entrees like steak frites and Mediterranean chicken. Their famous queso and shareable plates, plus a full line of gluten-free options. And the bar stocked with craft cocktails that deliver. Kirby Lane is the Austin original for a night out with real flavor. Check the full lineup over at KirbyLaneCafe.com. And when I tell you that I can speak from experience at Kirby Lane Cafe, I definitely can. Pancakes, queso, they've got it all.
And I tell you about Prize Picks as well this morning, because we make decisions daily, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid, and it's simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. It's the best way to get in on sports action in more than 40 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and of course, right here in the great state of Texas. And this week, I have Louisville quarterback Miller Moss having more than 224.5 passing yards. Central Michigan wide receiver Tyson Davis having more than 14.5 receiving yards. And NIU running back Telly Johnson to have at least 1 touchdown. So come join me on those picks or make your own in less than 60 seconds. Turn your sports opinions into real money. Download the Prize Pick app today. Use code ONTEXAS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code ONTEXAS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And that's Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right, guys. Well, you ready to bring him in? Let's bring him in.
Yeah, let's do it. Hey, Brooks, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. 2 things. First and foremost, I can always tell how close I am to other colleagues and other media members when they come to my city and don't check in. That's 1. 2, how strong is that Wi-Fi outside of Sanford Stadium? My God, Bobby, I didn't know that was possible.
He's on a hot spot, Brooks.
I am on a hot spot here.
That's the hottest of spots. That's the
Yes.
hottest of spots.
Tomorrow,
You're not even going to be able to.
I got one thing.
You're
So
not
how do
even
you
gonna be able to
come on here
tweet
without Christmas attire, Brooks? How do you come on here without Christmas attire like this hat? Come on now.
I ain't got nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, nope. I thought I had a Christmas themed mug. I do not. Just a regular one that I stole from my wife with her initials on it. Look how pretty that is.
Hey, Brooks, got to start with you. For those unaware, Brooks does some film breakdowns on his YouTube channel, Film Guy Network. Brooks, on one of your shows earlier this week, you had said that some college assistants had talked to you and said, hey, I think Georgia might blow out Texas. Well,
yeah, like
insight on that, man.
Like 2-score roll, not like blow them out, not like 38-10, but like control the football game, dominate. Georgia wins for 4. I think what a lot of those coaches are talking about is like it's a bad stylistic matchup for Texas. I don't I don't necessarily agree with that. Look, I picked it, and you guys are going to make me pick it. I picked it like a 4-point game last night on my show. So I expected to be tight for 4 quarters. It was just very peculiar to hear coaches from outside of these 2 football programs to like go out of their way to let me know that they have an opinion on this football game. So that was weird to me. It's not the first time it's happened this year. It happens every once in a while. They're not always right either. I don't think they're right, like I said. That was weird to hear. But I felt like if I'm going to get phone calls like that, I got to at least let people know why. Why, and I think what it is maybe bad at protection, one-dimensional football. Like Georgia doesn't normally get beat by one-dimensional football teams. And not only are y'all, I feel like Texas we can throw the ball really well because our quarterback's playing elite football right now, but still have not been able to find a running game. And on the defensive side of the football, because of injuries, y'all haven't been able to keep everything in front of you in the secondary, but you're a great run defense. So you can't stop the pass, but you can stop the run, and you can't run the football, but you can throw the football. Normally, you have to be a well-balanced football team to beat Georgia. The only team to kind of buck this trend offensively was Alabama. They can't run the ball at all against anybody. And they came over here and, were 11, I think 7 or 9 for their first 9 on 3rd down because the quarterback was diabolical.
Yeah.
Hey, Brooks, thanks for that breakdown a little bit. You've seen this Georgia team and follow them closely. What are their strengths and what are their weaknesses, in your opinion?
They're a full 22. I said this about Georgia this matchup last night. I think Georgia has the better 22, like the better collective 11 versus 11 on both sides of the ball. That being said, Texas has 2 football players that might be so supremely great that they take over the game and win. I feel like Colin Simmons individually took over that Vanderbilt game. If you watch that film study that we did, if you watch the film at all in that football game, you will notice that really, in my opinion, the only reason Texas got off the field the first 4 possessions was because number 1's a super freak. So it doesn't matter if the corner's getting beat by 6 yards. If Colin Simmons is rushing the quarterback off the spot, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the defensive tackle is getting pushed off the spot a little bit because Colin Simmons is making a TFL. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter if we give up outside contain because it's coming back anyways because Colin Simmons is forced to hold. Things like that don't matter when someone's that individually great. I feel this way about the offense right now in Texas. I feel like Arch Manning is playing such elite football from dirty pockets that it doesn't really matter that the left guard can't hold up. It doesn't really matter that they've been banged up at center and moving the center to back to guard and finding a new – it doesn't matter. None of that really matters because the quarterback's so great. So can your 2 be better than the other 22? Like, I know Texas is a blue chip roster. They're elite talents. They're great. But those 2 individual talents are far superior.
Hey, Brooks, Georgia defense this year is interesting because they don't have like Jalen Walker was just a great football player, right? Michael Williams wasn't necessarily productive as people thought, but when he needed to be great, he certainly could. Definitely against Texas. They both had 4 sacks against Texas last year in those 2 games. To me, I see Georgia, and tell me if you see it different. Georgia up front may not be as disruptive or have as much depth because they're a little young, like everybody's a little younger this year on their defensive front. And they don't have Jalen Walker at linebacker, and they did lose Smile Mondon and a couple other guys, but their collective of linebackers may be better this year. And maybe their secondary hadn't been as good, is not quite as good as it has been in recent years. Am I on the Georgia defense? Do you see it differently in your eyes from a personnel standpoint?
I mean, I think you're right. The only thing you didn't mention is the elite play that C.J. Allen's playing at right now, the elite rate he's playing at. I thought he had a career football game in Austin last year against you guys. He's kind of played that way all year long. He's a top 3 linebacker in the conference, maybe in the sport. So there's that. And I know there's a lot of them, right? There's Torian York, there's Anthony Hill, there's the Arvell Reese kid and Sonny Styles from Ohio State, and then there's C.J. Allen. Those that group of 5 right there, I think have separated themselves in this sport right about now. And the Rodriguez kid from Texas Tech. There's 5 or 6 really, really good ones in the sport right now. You mentioned the lack of like elite twitch or a player like Jalen Walker. Well, guys, and Texas has this go on to them as well. It's these blue chip rosters that recruit inside top 100 all the time and inside the top 3 collectively. When I say top 100, I mean like every player on their roster was likely at one point ranked inside the top 100 on these recruiting rankings. They're all really, really good. So when you have rosters like this, you have sudden losses that you don't expect, both to the NFL draft and to the portal. They had a sudden loss in Taron Ingram-Dawkins this offseason at defensive end that they did not expect. They did not expect that kid to get a third-round grade and ultimately be a starter for the Minnesota Vikings. They did not expect that, or wherever he's at. That's what happened to them. And then Damon Wilson comes into the office after agreeing to a verbal contract and saying, yeah, I'm going to be back next year. Comes into the office and was like, hey, by the way, go ahead and enter my name into the portal. I got a sweet deal from Missouri, and there is no negotiation here. I'm gone. And they're like, what? The portal's closed. What do we do? Well, the next year you struggle to rush the passer. That's what you do. So that's kind of what's happened to Georgia right about now defensively. I think they're not as talented as they have been at safety because as long as I've covered them, it's gone from Richard LeCount to Malachi Starks to now, KJ Bolden. And look, I think KJ's in between Richie and Malachi. Malachi was the difference maker in that Texas game last year because they were like, oh, they want to run 3-by-1 and take the slot receiver and run them on deep overs. Okay. Malachi, go down there and play the slot receiver in man-to-man coverage. And he just kind of erased that portion of the game. They don't have that. They don't have that eraser anymore. Now, Jonah Aguero's played great football at the star position, but they don't have they got a problem. Let's fix it.
Brooks, we're looking here and talk about what Texas fans might be able to see from a Georgia fan base and how difficult it is to play at night. I'm here at Sanford Stadium, as you can see.
Attaboy.
And is it a difficult nighttime atmosphere as SEC nighttime atmospheres go? Is it truly a 12th man type atmosphere at Sanford Stadium on a Saturday night?
I mean, there's 93,000, people there. I feel like Sanford Stadium and what you got, DKR? Is that what you guys' place is called?
Yeah.
I feel like they struggle with the same problem. Okay, they're both big. They both have a lot of people. They both are hard to play at because their teams are great. But I feel like at DKR, the sound gets out because it's very, very spread. Like the 103,000 is like way out there at the top of the stadium. At Georgia, the West End Zone, what Bobby's standing in front of, that sucker is open. So they wrap that back into that East End Zone all the way around with 93K, but they're all screaming towards the open end of the end zone. So all the sound gets out, right? The loudest stadium per data is Autzen Stadium because there's only 49,000 people, however many, but they trap the sound. It does not get out. So there are a lot of people that come into Sanford Stadium. They're like, oh, it's not as loud as I thought for 93,000. Well, there are reasons why. All that being said, really tough place to play. And by the way, a pissed off unit. This is a football team that lost a 30-game win streak inside that stadium the last time they played in it, Bobby. I don't think they're going to be all that happy to be welcoming Longhorn fans and people back into the stadium, needless to say.
Hey Brooks, talk about Arch, because you've kind of broken him down throughout the season. One, how well do you think he's – you mentioned it earlier, but let reiterate from people that have jumped in now. How good do you think he is playing now? How concerned were you with some of the things you saw early? Because I thought it was all mental with him and kind of his process you've seen from him this season.
Jerry, I honestly look like the yips. You ever see Major League 2 when the catcher can't throw the ball back to the mound without reading Playboy magazines? Like, that's what it almost like it was watching that. I was watching a mechanically clean football player, which I don't know about you, Jerry, but that's why I loved him as a prospect.
Yeah, 100%.
I loved him as a prospect because he was 6'3", he was 220 pounds, he runs a 4.62, he's mechanically clean, and oh, by the way, his last name is Manning. And I don't like that because his last name's Manning. I love that because that leads me to believe that kid's had high levels of football conversation since he was a wee lad. Like 100%. Since we started talking football, he's been talking football like I talk football. He ain't just talking football like, oh, it's a throwing down, so let's go throw the ball. No, it's a throwing down. What is it? It's 3rd and 7. Okay, well, here's my initial read. Here's my secondary read. Here's my hot read. Here's my exit strategy. Oh, by the way, if they bring blitz, here's my hot. Like, that's why I love the fact that he was a Manning. And all of that physical ability shows up when you watch him now, and he's cleaned up the yips. Like, there were certain things where I was watching him the first 3 or 4 weeks, and I was like, oh, man, we are, I call them pressurized mechanics.
Yep.
We are very, very highly pressurized right now. We feel like we got to make everything right. And now it was like, for me, the second half of that Mississippi State game, it was like he just said, you know what? Screw it. Nothing's changing. Nothing's going to get better. These pockets are going to be dirty. I just need to live in it. I just need to live in it and be okay with it and find ways to win and compete. I don't know what this channel's rules are. Compete my balls off. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to compete my backside off for 4 quarters the rest of the way. And I'm not saying he wasn't prior, but I'm telling you, it's like a light clicked off. He was like, you know what? It's just going to be hell and Firestone the rest of the time I'm doing this. So we're just going to stand in. We're going to take shots off the chin, and we're going to deliver for our teammates. That's what I have felt like it has been for the last 6 quarters out there in Texas. I don't think all that much has changed. Now, you guys watch them a whole hell of a lot closer than I do. Do you think all these things have been suddenly fixed, or do you think the quarterback just blossomed in front of our eyes? Because I think it's the latter.
Oh, I think that's part of it for sure. I mean, he's always had the talent, Brooks, and I think that's clear if you just watch him, and go out to a practice at Texas. He's got zip on the ball. He's got tremendous mechanics. He's got a way he goes about practice that is kind of intentional, if you know what I mean. And so he's had all of that. I think it's just experience. I mean, for lack of a better term, it's he reached puberty as it relates to college football.
For me,
that's a big piece. And I think Gunnar Stockton may have done some of the same thing for Georgia this year.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, for me, I've always said, like, the reason I loved Arch is because, like, dude, he is by far and away the most physically talented Manning they've ever rolled off the assembly line. Yeah. And I don't do this very often. It's not even close. It's not even close. He got all of Archie's physical, like, athleticism. And guys, Eli and Peyton weren't great throwers of the ball. I hate to tell people this, but if you've ever watched ball, those guys were not elite wow throwers. Arch has 6 or 7 throws a night where it's like, oh my God. He threw a ball to Ryan Wingo on a corner route that went through the wickets of a corner that squatted on it. Like, he's supposed to be right there making a play, and that ball goes over his head like he ain't never seen one like that. It's like, whoa. And that's the type of stuff that I bought. Everybody thought you bought the name. No, this kid is so talented, on top of the fact that he's a great name.
Hey, Brooks, let's talk about Gunnar Stockton, because here's where I've compared him not as a player, but I want your perspective as somebody who covered him in high school and his recruitment. I've compared him to Colt McCoy in this regard, because wearing that jersey means everything in the world to that quarterback. And part of being a big-time college performer at quarterback is saying, here's the ball, there's 100,000 people in the stands, go compete for a national championship. Not everybody's built for it. And I think Gunnar's built for it the same way Colt was built for it. And I think wearing that jersey means the world to him, and winning games in that jersey means the world to him. For people that don't really know his story, that are kind of starting to watch him this year, from your perspective on Gunnar Stockton and what's made him a really good player for the Bulldogs this year.
Yeah, Rabun County, Georgia, that's 2A high school football. That's as small as you can get, other than single A public school down in South Georgia. Like, most single A schools in Metro Atlanta, North Georgia, Atlanta, they're private educations. He was getting a very small mountain school, like public school education up there in Rabun County. Went on to set and break every high school record there is for quarterbacks, whether it be rushing records, whether it be passing records, touchdown records. He shattered them all. Deshaun Watson, all shattered, except for about 2 years later, Aaron Philo, the backup at Georgia Tech, reshattered all of them. So he don't have them anymore if you were to look them up. But this was a really, really highly successful high school quarterback here in the state. And look, they have family ties, okay? Mike Bobo's dad is a lifer in the sport of football. Ironically enough, he actually taught Gunnar Stockton how to throw the football. Like, this is the first ever quarterback trainer that they ever had. So the Bobos and the Stocktons have been tied together for a long time. It's why Gunnar was committed to South Carolina when Mike Bobo was the offensive coordinator there, before Mike was ultimately fired and then decommitted. Now he's at the University of Georgia. But here's the thing that I think is very fascinating about Gunnar, and I don't subscribe to this theory. Jerry, you've worked in the scouting world for a long time. I don't think you do either. They gambled and bet on this kid being a gamer.
Yes.
They took him and they recruited him and they wanted him and they looked past all of the physical limitations. They looked past the fact that he's only 6'1", he's not 6'4". They looked past the fact that he's a 4'7" runner, not a 4'5'8" runner. They looked past the fact that the motion's a little elongated. He's not all that arm talented. He's super arm strong, but he can't get it from a bunch of different angles. They took this kid because they thought he was a soul-gutting winner.
Yes.
And that's exactly what he does. And look, again, I don't subscribe to this. I think that is dangerous. I do not. It's such an intangible. It's something that you cannot measure. You can never line it up, put it on the field and say, that's exactly what it is. It's an 8 out of 10 in this intangible category. No, it was all a bet on what they thought the human was. And the human is that. And that's what I love. Like you said, Colt McCoy. I brought Colt up in this conversation early on in Gunner's season because we are covering college football. Will y'all stop telling me that we have to have some first-round caliber quarterback to go win damn games? No, we don't. We have seen this for 25, 35, 40 years. If you are just a damn good ball player and your teammates love you and you elevate all those around you and you win in the margins, by God, you can win national titles. Guys, we just saw Riley Leonard go play for a national title doing the same thing. The dude was just gutting his way to wins. And I think this kid's more talented than Riley.
You're muted, Bobby.
Brooks, thank you so much for joining us, buddy. Hope to see you tomorrow up here in Athens, possibly. And we enjoy your channel very much. Film Guy Network, Brooks Austin.
No doubt, Bobby. We appreciate you, bro.
See you, buddy.
All right, guys. I tell you what, Jerry, why don't you tell us about Ridge Wallet this morning?
I can do that. Let's just start with this. You ever been driving on I-45 from Houston to Dallas, and back in the day, and you had your wallet in your left back behind you, and you got out of the car and you're like, man, that doesn't feel right. Yeah, you don't have to do that anymore. Ridge Wallet, now that everything's better with the Ridge 2.0. They've been perfecting this wallet for 12 years. It's 10% lighter. Every gram matters in the Ridge Wallet 2.0. They found the perfect balance. That's very important throwing a football, by the way. They made it more modular with improved cash straps, money clips, and AirTag attachments. It's improved surface design with logos and matching plated cash straps made with premium materials like aluminum, titanium, and carbon fiber. It holds up to 12 cards plus cash. And here's the thing about the Ridge Wallet, especially during holiday time, it's easy to hide from your significant other that lives on Amazon. Jenny Burton, we're looking at you. Bobby's hiding that thing. Losing your wallet's the worst, but the Ridge Tracker card, always know exactly where it is before panic mode kicks in. Perfect peace of mind for holiday travel and gifting. Give gifts that stay out of the junk drawer and find their way into morning routines, travels, and adventures. For a limited time, Ridge is having their huge Black Friday sale. Head to ridge.com and get up to 47% off that order. This is by far the biggest discount they've given all year. That's ridge.com for up to 40% off your biggest sale of the year. After they purchase, they'll ask where you heard about him. You said, hey, it's easy. It's where Tony Hills does church every week.
And tell us about Culligan as well this morning, please, sir.
Oh, I can do that. And after, you have your wallet, you have your Ridge Wallet, but you know what has to come first? When you look at that glass of water every morning, if you get water out of the tap, you better know what you're drinking, man. Else what you have in your wallet's not going to matter because you're going to feel like crap. When it comes to the water your family drinks and uses every day, you don't want to cut corners. That's why for over 90 years, people have trusted Culligan. And here in Austin, Culligan Ultrapure has been serving the community for more than 60 years. Culligan Ultrapure provides high-quality residential water treatment at an affordable price, including reverse osmosis systems, water softeners, and UV purification lights. Whether your water comes from a well or a municipal source, Culligan has the perfect treatment solution for your home. And right now, you can schedule a free water test and save up to $600 when you mention On Texas Football. Culligan Ultrapure proudly serves Austin, Corpus Christi, Victoria, Brownwood, Pampa, and Plainview. So don't wait. Call Culligan Ultrapure today at 512-339-2378. Ask for On Texas Football community member Michael of Culligan Ultrapure. Again, schedule that free water analysis, 512-339-2378. Better water starts with Culligan, which means your day starts better.
And Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone about Hollow Socks.
Yeah, I'm actually wearing them right now. A lightweight, supportive, and unbelievably soft. They're 3 times actually warmer, that is Hollow Socks, than wool, and still lightweight. How do they do it? They're alpaca socks built for the field. These are performance-based socks made from the ultra-soft baby alpaca fibers, engineered for rugged conditions and designed to keep your feet dry, warm, and comfortable no matter where the day takes you. Everyday socks, compression socks, all kinds of different uses for them. I'm wearing them today with my boots. So Hollow doesn't just make socks for the outdoors. They've engineered them for every activity. For a limited time, Hollow Socks is having a buy 3, get 3 free sale. Head to hollowsocks.com today to check it out. That's hollowsocks.com for up to 50% off your order. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them from. Make sure you mention On Texas Football. You can support our show by telling them it's On Texas Football that sent you. Again, hollowsocks.com. Buy 3, get 3 free sale, up to 50% off for a limited time. That's hollowsocks.com. Tell them On Texas Football sent you.
The good thing about those socks right there, when Jackson Dart peed down his leg against Florida last year in the swamp, if he'd have been wearing those black alpaca, those socks, you wouldn't have been able to see it as easily. You'd have just seen the interceptions and not what happened after.
Oh, gosh. Well, we got a lot of super chats to get to, but before we get to them, from Alfio Beasy, a longtime friend of the show, says, good morning, fellas. I want to wish my better half, my best friend, amazing wife, and mother of my children happy birthday, Miss Nancy Lopez VC. So happy birthday to your wife, Alfio.
Man, and congrats to her for putting up with you this long. Sorry. I love Alfio. He knows. That's the jokes you get on the wife's birthday.
Well, let's jump over to those super chats, fellas. This first one from Jay Lee says, we went out of the top 25 after Florida. Had we not dropped that far, would it have impacted our current ranking, or did that drop not impact our college football playoff ranking?
Oh, definitely would have. I think Texas, obviously, if Texas had won that game at Florida, they'd be, 6 right now? 5? They'd be ahead of Texas Tech. So where's that put you, 5? If your only loss is Ohio State, maybe even above Bama, you might have been top 4. You might have been 4, right after the 3 undefeateds.
And then we got one from Jeff Carey here. Thank you, Jeff. Texas spent $33 million to $37 million on players in the pre and post house settlement year. And the next/this season, we have a cap on revenue share. Wouldn't that mean several players will have to take a pay cut?
Bobby, this is the interesting discussion amongst college coaches right now.
Yeah, it really is. I think that it's certainly a situation that people are going to have to deal with and understand. I don't know how Texas is managing its true NIL. So to some level, you may be right with rev share, but rev share is not the only portion that will be adjusted for the University of Texas roster. There will be obvious NIL for it as well. So make sure you understand that there's multiple different levels, not just rev share being apportioned.
And then we have a super chat from Bandit. Thank you, Bandit. I refuse to believe our inability to run the football will go away against Georgia, of all teams. This is going to end up a quarterback battle, he says.
Yeah, I think it's could it become a secondary battle more so than a quarterback battle? Whose secondary plays at a higher level? Because both have had struggled at times this year. Yeah, the quarterbacks have to make, though, they have to have the protection. But does this actually come down to a secondary battle? Because both of these are battle tested and have had some struggles, whether that's injury or not. That's what's going to be interesting to me, is what kind of coverages who's going to break some tendency in this game from a coverage standpoint too. I think that's going to be something to watch. But my thing with Texas running the football is I'm okay with 17 running back runs for 48 to 50 yards in this game, because that means you're sticking to it enough. I think if you look up in the middle of or early in the fourth quarter and you have 13 running back runs for 18 yards, that's probably not the formula you're looking for. You got to have some stick-to-itiveness in the run game. You got to be able to live with 2-yard gains. You got to keep your offense moving forward. You can't have negative runs, though. That's a big thing. Bobby mentioned that earlier this week. That's the big thing. Texas can't have negative runs. You can't look up and say 17 carries for 10 yards or you're in trouble.
And on a related note, Sugarcane Daddy says Niblett rushes for 100 yards. You heard it here first.
I will remember that forever if you're correct. I don't see it.
I don't know. I don't know if he's going to rush for 100 in his career, much less one game.
Jerry's Jack Links with Super Chat says, does Mark Rhodes stepping down mean anything for the rankings in your opinion?
Hey, I'm going to say this. It's Mac Rhodes, by the way, but the Baylor AD apparently in some hot water with some personal issues in Baylor as it relates to his actions off the field or even on the field, I guess. He's stepping away from the playoff committee. In his place, Hunter Yurachek, the Arkansas athletic director, will now be the chair of the college football playoff committee. But I think more importantly is the Utah athletic director now becomes Mac Rhodes' replacement on the committee itself. Well, guess who's sitting at number 12 or 13 right now in the playoff rankings? Utah.
Yeah.
You know, they're trying to get Utah in the playoffs, is my opinion. They're going to try to get 3 teams in from the Big 12. And I don't know what to tell you guys if that happens, because I think that's a joke. But unfortunate for Mac Rhodes, I guess, or maybe he brought it on himself. But, yeah, the Baylor AD is in a little bit of hot water right now, it appears.
Yeah, I think behind the scenes they're already starting looking for the next guy.
And then Rocky P says, this game Saturday is the start of Texas reminding everyone who Texas is. This team seems to be able to get up for big opponents. They need to go out and be the aggressor. Punch first, punch hard.
I got a question for the chat. And I've been thinking about this all week because to this point, the road win at Bama over Nick Saban was probably the biggest of Sark's career. So I think that would be pretty – I think most 95% of people would say that. If Sark were to win at Georgia, considering you're now in the SEC, Georgia is the man in the SEC, would this be the biggest win of Steve Sarkisian's career? Because it would also then maybe get that wannabe right about that monkey off his back. Oh, you're 0-2 against Kirby, you're 0-2 against Day, and you're 0-2 against DeBoer. Chat, people, I think it would be the biggest win of his career, Bobby. I'm guessing everybody agrees with that. I think that's how big this game is for Sark.
I think it's huge for Sark and where he wants to be professionally, right, Jerry? Yeah. He wants to be considered among the best in the game. He's taken the team twice to consecutive semifinals, college football playoffs, but he hasn't gotten over the hump. And this could be the start of doing just that because they're going to have to beat at least Georgia or A&M to even have a chance at the playoff. Obviously, you'd firmly beat both. It'd be 2 big wins for Steve Sarkisian. But first things first, it's here in Athens with the Longhorns versus the Bulldogs tomorrow night.
And then we have DJ Alexander saying, not worried about this game at all. Bobby said Texas will go 10-2 and beat Georgia. And Bobby, we trust.
Hey, let's just all go with me. Let's just all be happy at 10-2 together. How about that? Everybody was whining whenever I mentioned this in the preseason, but I believe it. This is kind of where I thought they would be all year. What I did not think, a couple different ways, I didn't think Florida would have lost 3 games before they played Texas. And I did not think this Georgia team would coalesce as well as it has under Gunnar Stockton. I was thinking Gunnar Stockton was just going to be another quarterback. I think he's a really, really good quarterback for college football player. So, look, anything can happen, but I did go 10-2 preseason, and I'm sticking with it. I went 24-23 Longhorns in this one.
There you go. And Antonio Washington says first round of the playoffs for the Commerce Tigers tonight against Jefferson. Looking for a win tonight and tomorrow night. Hook 'em and hashtag LWTWT, which means love works together, wins together. So good luck to Commerce or your Commerce Tigers, Antonio. The Padilla poll has them favored by 3. So
Yes.
it should be a good game against Jefferson.
That's a really good East Texas first round playoff game. You'll have fun. The lights will be out in both towns. That's one thing we know.
And then we got Spank B here with the super chat. Do you guys think Texas has a corner that could start on other top schools like Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, etc.?
Yeah, I think Manny Muhammad could start. Yeah. I think he's a starter level player. Yeah, I do 100%. I mean, look, Georgia, they've made a change. They've had to make a change this year at corner. So yes, I definitely think Manny.
All right, Bobby. I tell you what. Why don't you?
I want to
Go
say
ahead.
this on that. I mean, I expect to see more of Cade Phillips tomorrow, and I also think we could see some Jonah Williams in different scenarios.
Yeah,
tomorrow because of his ability to tackle in space and his size. I don't know how exactly they might use him, but it's the feeling I got right now.
for sure.
Well, tell us about BKCW one more time, if you don't mind, Bobby.
Yeah, I absolutely could do that. Today's show being brought to you by our friends over at BKCW Insurance. If your business had a frustrating insurance employee benefits renewal, most likely you hadn't heard from your agent all year, and then right before it was time to renew, they delivered the bad news of a rate increase. That's called the insurance trap. BKCW takes you out of the insurance trap by providing you with actual risk management consulting, not just price quoting, operating out of its headquarters in Austin and owned by a UT grad. BKCW uses a 5-step process to identify your business weak spots, design a plan, execute it, and monitor your situation throughout the year so that you can lower your insurance costs while effectively managing your company's risk. BKCW has already helped some of the most well-known construction companies, restaurant groups, breweries, nonprofits in Central Texas escape the insurance trap. It all starts with a free risk assessment. Go to bkcw.com or send an email to info@bkcw.com. That's info@bkcw, or you can call them to talk to them personally, 512-250-5055.
All right. Another super chat this morning. This one from Brian. He says, do you see Texas going into the portal for running back and offensive line? Need some immediate improvement there to be an elite team. What about an elite receiver as well?
I think a lot of that depends on what they have coming back. I think that with running back, if Wisner and Cedric Baxter come back, I don't see a need. If one of them goes pro, what do you do?
Yeah.
Right. As far as the offensive line is concerned, look, Connor Robertson has another year at center, but who's next at guard for both places? Is Nate Kibbles ready? Is Nick Brooks going to be ready? I don't know. They're going to have to make that decision internally. They do need help on the offensive line from a depth perspective, in my opinion. As far as wide receiver, I don't necessarily think they need it unless they lose someone to the portal of note. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But look, I will say this. I expect a lot of movement from not just Texas, but from every big-time school, whether it's Georgia or Alabama or Oregon, that have these stacked rosters this offseason as everybody gets more revenue to share with their players. I mean, Jerry, you mentioned this the other day. One team is going from $3 million a year in NIL payouts to $13 million.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot of juice for somebody that may be a third-team guy or second-team guy at Texas to go start somewhere else. Yeah. Potentially start, by the way. There's no guarantees in this world. But we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out in the next few weeks, because they can't enter the portal until January. But they can say they're going to enter it before then. I don't think we'll really hear until probably after signing day for a lot of those guys, or certainly until after the A&M game, unless Texas actually makes it to the SEC championship game somehow. Then you won't hear about it more until after that.
I think it's going to be so interesting in the portal now, because, and I think I don't think it's going to be a 1-year snapshot. I think it's going to be 2 as rev share kind of settles, and then the bigger programs figure out how to go well beyond the rev share over time. I think there's some front end deals going with high school kids. We've been talking about this for a while. You guys can guess the schools. So that's already been going on. But here's what I'll say about the portal. And so a third team guy at a Texas or an Ohio State, some of that rev share at the middle of the pack Power 4 teams, they've definitely got more rev share to entice somebody to jump in. Here's the other part. They also have more money to try to keep somebody from leaving. And I think that's a very interesting part of this too, is how many of the guys that the big schools would really want are actually these schools that have rev share now and actually go from 3 to 13 million or 2 to 14 million in those areas. How many can they actually keep that would have been going in the portal in past years? That's what's going to be really interesting for me moving forward with the portal, because I think there's going to be a lot of people that think these kids are going in. Some of these kids are going in, but then these middle of the road Power 4s are going to have the money to keep them from going in.
Well, the reality too is not just money; it's they all have agents that are playing that game right now.
Yeah,
I mean, there are agents out there in the college football world saying, "These are my list of players. Do you want any of them?"
Yeah.
And they could be for any team.
Yeah.
So it's a bizarre circumstance if you're a general manager of a football team or a head coach of a college football team right now. But we'll see where it all goes. I think that Texas is sitting in a very positive position in that Texas is going to be one of the schools that is able to go over the cap or the rev share because of the uniquely positioned way that the brand that Texas is and what it means to be part of it. But to what degree and how they'll choose to keep which players, that's all to be determined by Brandon Harris and Steve Sarkisian and the rest of that Longhorn staff.
All right, one more here. Real Longhorn Jose says, gents, what's going on with Kobe Black and Derek Williams this year? Are they not healthy? They have not looked good this year, says Jose.
I think Kobe Black's issue is he's not a speed guy. I think that he's probably he's playing cornerback when probably he's got the speed and size of a safety. So will he make that move in the offseason, or is he going to try to stick at cornerback when he doesn't necessarily have that kind of athleticism? I don't know. That's one question. Derek Williams is a little different. I think he's still a little dinged up, dinged up is not the right word, but still recovering from a major surgery that has limited his speed somewhat, his outright speed. I think that Derek Williams is playing, and he's not playing poorly or anything like that. But I think there's more left in there for him down the line, particularly next year when he would be an incumbent there, most likely with Xavier Filsaime and probably Jonah Williams at some level.
Yeah, and Derek Williams is really good playing downhill, playing the run. He's got to kind of complete that safety skill package, I think, in the next year. I mean, that was kind of the big thing I was looking for last year going into the season before he got hurt was Texas really good against the run. But when's he going to start making the plays on the ball, right? And then he got hurt early in the season last year, so we didn't get to see that development this year coming off the injury. But he's going to have to become more of a playmaker on the ball from the safety position. He's really good against the run, but he has definitely got to be a better player in coverage and then making plays on the ball.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football presented by BKCW. We want to thank them along with Prize Picks, Tacovas, Kirby Lane, Culligan's, Ridge Wallet, and Hollow Socks, all for sponsoring today's show. I want to thank you all for tuning in as well, along with Brooks Austin and Coach Brian Irwin for joining us. Bobby, you got a loaded day today. What's going on?
Well, I do got a loaded day, but before I say goodbye to everybody, I want to give them one last look between the hedges here. That is Sanford Stadium, Dooley Field here in Athens. That's the site of the game tomorrow night, 6:30. Longhorns taking on the Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia favored by 6.5 right now, according to most books. We'll be there. We'll have our full game day programming tomorrow, starting with a Saturday conversation, followed by our tailgate. Texas tailgate, then the watch with us. Jerry, you'll be part of that. And then the post game, Rod Babers and I'll be on post game, hopefully breaking down a Longhorn victory. Fingers crossed, right? Later today, we'll be at Botica in Buckhead in Atlanta, please come out and see us if you're a Longhorn. We had a great time there, both before the SEC championship game as well as the Peach Bowl last year. We had a great time. It was a full Longhorn bar, 200 plus people. It all benefits, by the way, they're going to get a percentage of the proceeds today donated to the Atlanta Texas Exes for their scholarship fund that they create. So please come on out and hang out at Boutique. If you're in Buckhead and staying in Atlanta, I'm getting ready to drive down there here in a few minutes to go participate in that. Starting at 4 o'clock Eastern, by the way, or no, excuse me, 5 o'clock Eastern. We'll be there at 4 o'clock Eastern for the show, but please join us if you will.
Hey, Blake, bring up the line of the game real quick before we get out of here. Somebody's asking what was the line? 6 at 6. Okay, so Chris said went in the line at 5.5. It's been sticking
Right
6.5 all week.
All right. Well, we will be back same time, same place on Monday morning. Hope you all have a phenomenal weekend. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton,